Bam Margera will be in Tony Hawk's 3 and 4 after all, after Hawk intervened, it's claimed. Tony Hawk reportedly demanded that Activision put the troubled skater in the game. So I had done a video in regards to this. I think it was like 2 weeks ago in regards to Bam not being included in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4. Now, it was stated that that was most likely going to be the case. So actually hearing this news that Tony Hawk himself went to Activision and kind of told them like, "Hey, no, this is going to be included." I thought that was actually really cool and really nice to hear. Now, I remember one of the comments in my video that I had done was stating that this probably wasn't a good thing because of the fact that Bam Margera has been dealing with so much, substance abuse and drug addiction and everything like that. So, in a sense, I'm like, I can get what they're stating in regards to them stating that he probably shouldn't get the money for this because it's probably just gonna go straight to drugs and alcohol and stuff like that. But at the same time, as someone who was a fan of, the Tony Hawk Pro Skater games and everything like that, not including him in the game would just be a little bit weird, especially considering that, he was a part of 3 and 4. And, like I stated in my video as well, it was one of those things I thought was going to be really weird considering that if they were to remove Bam Margera from the games, then what that would mean for Tony Hawk's Underground 2. Now, I don't think he's included at all in Tony Hawk's Underground, but if they were to go, the route of continuing to make remakes for these games, him not being included in Tony Hawk's Underground 2 would be really weird because like I stated in the video as well, if you look at the box for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater Underground, I mean Tony Hawk's Underground 2, it when and you flip it around on the back side of it, you'll see a Bam Margera. I mean, it's a computer animated version of him because of what's in the game, but he's included, and it seems like he's kind of a big deal. And then I also think it shows his dad as well. I think it was Phil was his name, if I remember correctly. So hearing that this might have been the case is just a little bit weird. So the fact that Tony Hawk kind of came in and made this change, I think that's actually really cool. So we'll go ahead and get into this article, and then as per usual, I'll get my thoughts as we go along. So, despite suggesting otherwise, it appears that Bam Margera will indeed be included in the upcoming Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4, according to a new claim. Earlier this year, when Activision first announced the Remake Collection, it also announced a list of skaters planned to be featured in the game. This list included every classic skater originally featured in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 except one, Bam Margera. Known for his role in Jackass, Viva La Bam, and the Tony Hawk series, was seemingly missing, which is just, it's weird, man. And I'm wondering who was in charge of that decision right there to exclude him from the games, because that is a little bit interesting that they would kind of make this decision. And from the sounds of it, it almost seems like Tony Hawk didn't even know that that was the case, which is a really weird one. So now during a live stream on the Live Club Skating podcast, it's been claimed that Bam was added to the game at the last minute after Hawk demanded he be included. Well, here's what happened, explained co-host Roger Bailey. The game was already done. Tony called up Activision and was like, "Hey, we're putting Bam in the thing." And they were like, "Hey, we can't." He goes, "No, you're going to do it." And basically made them fly Bam out there to get body scan and everything else and get him back into the game. So I think that's really cool that Tony Hawk was just like, "No, this is going to happen. You guys are going to do this." And kind of demanded them, like, regardless of what you guys are saying, this is going to happen. Because from what I've heard, it was one of those things where they kind of had the game already finished and everything was set in stone and ready to go. But Tony was like, "No, regardless of if it's almost like, completely done, it's going to be finished. Like, you guys are going to do this. You guys are going to fix this and go back." And there was another comment as well that when I made my original video on this, they had stated that at the end of the game, it is one of those things where there's like some trials or some stuff you got to do when you're skating, like some tests or something like that, that goes off of what every skater wants you to do. So if Bam wasn't going to be included in that, it kind of would have thrown the game off a little bit. And the person that was commenting was also stating that they were wondering if it was going to be one of those things where Bam's like his tests and everything was just going to be replaced by another skater, or if they were going to remove it entirely. My guess is they probably would have removed it entirely, but there would be the possibility that they could have just given it to another skater and have him kind of do what they wanted him to achieve at that point, which would have been a little bit weird in my opinion. So this might have been news that it's not out there yet, though. Co-host Chris Roberts then asked, probably, Bagley replied, VGC has contacted Activision for comment. So, Margera has faced a string of health and legal issues in recent years due to issues related to substance abuse. He was fired from Jackass Forever, after which he was issued with a restraining order from Jackass director Jeff Tremaine. Tremaine had previously fought for years to include Margera in the reunion film. So that's what because this is the statement that was also stated in the other video I did, and this always kind of threw me off. So from what it sounds like, there was a restraining order from the director Jeff Tremaine towards Bam, but and then it also states he fought for years to include Margera in the reunion film. So did he try to like go against what he had done originally, or was it one of those things where he filed the restraining order and try to keep him away? I'm not sure if this is worded differently, like if it's worded a little bit weird, or if it's kind of just worded correctly, but it was one of those instances where he did kind of regret doing a restraining order kind of a thing. So I'm not too sure. I'd have to look more into it if I wanted to kind of figure that out, or if there's anyone out there that could fill me in on the information. I greatly appreciate it. So it was believed that this was the likely reason Margera was seemingly missing from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 remake announcement, but shortly after the game's announcement, an image was then posted online showing Margera, I think that's a misspelling, meant to say Margera, reuniting with Tony Hawk at the skate park, giving fans a slight hope that he may be in there after all. And that's really cool. You know, like I stated, the fact that Tony Hawk went back and was just like, no, because I'm guessing Tony Hawk sees this dude as a friend, because even with all the issues and everything that he's had over the past few years. So if that is the case and he did kind of fight for him in that regard, I think that's really cool for Tony Hawk, and I feel like that just adds more to the awesomeness of that dude in general, which I think is really cool. So Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 will be released on July 11, 2025, although the more expensive digital deluxe and collector's edition of the game will offer 3 days of early access starting on July 8th. Featuring cross-platform online multiplayer, the game will be available for Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, PS5, PS4, Nintendo Switch, and PC via battle.net, Windows, and Steam. It'll also launch on day one on Game Pass Ultimate and PC Game Pass. So yeah, that's just like I stated. I think that's so cool that Tony Hawk was really willing to help his friend out and kind of do that for him in that regard. If that was the case, or if it was one of those things where they don't really talk or anything like that, but he was still like, no, this is originally what my game included, and I want it to be like a remake from what was originally done. So awesome news in my opinion. I think that's really cool of Tony Hawk to do that, and who knows, I mean, hopefully it wouldn't be like like I stated earlier, one of the comments had stated about all that money going towards drugs and alcohol abuse with Bam, but that could possibly be the case. But as far as him being able to be a playable character in this game, I think that's really awesome, especially because I'm sure there's lots of fans out there that would want to see this remake done in the same vein that the original was. So hearing that, I think that's really cool. And, I feel like it is good news for the fans and the players and everything like that. So those are my thoughts on that. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Do you guys think this is some good news like I do, or do you think it's one of those things they should have just left him out and kind of replaced him with someone else, or just not even mentioned it? So if you guys can let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments, if you guys could like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you guys been watching this long, I really appreciate it. It means a lot. And yeah, until next time, Harmonic out. Peace.